Hello students, today's daily news analysis we are going to discuss a few articles from the prelims perspective. So everybody would have been started the preparation of a prelims. So let us also discuss a few articles. Okay, I'll start with the first one. PSLV C62 strays from flight path, so which is fail to launch a satellite. Second one, India to be invited to join US led initiative, it is a Pax Silica. Okay. Third one, center steps in as 2 Nipah cases in West Bengal. And fourth one, play against a law to provide immunity to CEC and ECs. And the fifth one, the heavy lure of Venezuela's crude for the US. So let's start with the first article. Okay, the ISRO has launched this PSLV C62, which is carrying the EOS N1 Earth Observatory satellite, which has been failed to finish this intended trajectory at the end of the third stage of this launch vehicle. Since this mission has carried out this PSLV, we need to discuss the PSLV and other different types of launch vehicles in India. So let's discuss these important launch vehicles. That is, first one we'll discuss with PSLV, GSLV Mk2 and LMV3. So first, PSLV is a third generation and GSLV is a fourth generation and LMV3 is next generation, that is heavy lift. The second stages, it has a 4 stages of PSLV, and in GSLV Mk2 it has a 3 stages, and LVM3 is 3 stages, which is solid, strap-ons, liquid core and cryogenic. Alright. So now this lift of masses is 320 tons and this is more than 420 and this is approximately 640 tons. Alright. So the payloads to GTO, that is geostationary transfer orbit, this is up to 1500 kg and the GSLV Mk2 is 2250 kg and it is up to 4000 kg. And the payload to LEO, that is lower Earth orbit, this is up to 3800 kg and this is 6000 kg and this is more than 10,000 kg. So this is just differences of all these vehicles. So the mission which is carried is Chandrayaan-1, Mangalyaan, that is MOM, and Aditya L1. And the GSLV Mk2 is GSAT series and INSAT and NVS-01. And the LVM3 is Chandrayaan-2, 3 OneWeb and the Gaganyaan mission. Alright. So these are all the different types of vehicles. The next one, this NSIL, that is New Space India Limited. So this is a commercial arm of ISRO, which has conducted its 9th dedicated commercial mission with the launch of PSLV C62. Alright. So it is also important private limited commercial arms. So we need to understand the NSIL also, Antrix also and the InSpace also. So let us know the difference of all these. The next one, let us know difference of all these things. First, it has been launched in 1992, the Antrix, and the NSIL is in 2019 and the InSpace is 2020. What is the nature of this Antrix Corporation Limited, this is a public sector undertaking. And this New Space India Limited, which has come in the relevant news now, which is Central Public Sector Enterprises, and the InSpace is Autonomous Nodal Agency. Okay. So what is the primary role of this Antrix Corporation Limited, which is commercial and marketing arm of ISRO. And this New Space India Limited is industrializing, commercializing ISRO's technology. Alright. And the InSpace is facilitator and regulator for this private entities. So what are the functions of these? So their major functions is transponder leasing, okay, their launch service for their foreign clients and their technology transfer to industries also. And this one, the production of PSLV and SSLV. And it also building and owning the satellites and also technology transfers. And in space functions is, this is a single window clearance, all right, and this is also ISRO's facilities with private firms and licensing and safety oversights, all right. So these are all the headquarters of all these three. So this PSLV C62 mission has been executed by New Space India India Limited. So it was specifically designed to deploy its primary and secondary payloads, okay. So into a sun synchronous orbit. So we need to understand what is this sun synchronous orbit. It is essential to know the different types of orbits, all right. So this is geostationary versus geosynchronous. So what is geostationary orbit? It is a specific type of geosynchronous orbit. How it is? Both orbits have an orbital period of approximately 24 hours, which is they are sync with the Earth's rotation, all right. But this geostationary orbit is located directly above the equator, okay, that is 0° inclination, okay, and appears as a fixed point in the sky. So this geosynchronous orbit can be inclined, all right, which is differ from the geostationary. So it is also causing the satellite to drift north and south of the equator. So it is a 8 pattern shape. So that is like figure 8 pattern, we can say. So it is also observed on the ground of the Earth, all right. So what is sun synchronous? Sun synchronous orbit is a lower Earth orbit which is designed to pass any given point on Earth's surface at the same local solar time each day, all right. So this consistent solar time ensures the reliable lighting conditions for imaging and observations task, okay. It is ideal for remote sensing and weather satellites also, all right. So its altitude is much lower than GEO and GSO orbits, all right. Next article we are going to move in. So second one is India to be invited to join US-led initiative, that is Pax Silica, as already I mentioned in the beginning. So what's in the news? What is this? That is 8 nation of Pax Silica, that is silicon supply chain, okay, which is announcing for the upcoming, that is incoming US ambassador, all right. So that is promising that these two countries hoping to also make a progress on long delayed trade negotiation. So what is Pax Silica? So Pax Silica means US-led strategy initiative, which is to build a secure, resilient and innovation-driven global silicon supply chain, all right, which is launched in 2025, okay. It is on the entire technology stacks like critical minerals, energy to advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, AI, all right, etc. So what is the objective of this Pax Silica? So the major objective of this Pax Silica is it reduces the dependency on any single country, okay. So not to depend on any particular country, so it is reducing it. And the second point is it is also protecting the materials and capabilities, okay, to the artificial intelligence. And it also ensures partner nations can develop and deploy the advanced technologies, okay. The last point is also very important. It also promotes the trust, okay, and the trusted digital infrastructure and innovation friendly policies, okay, among all the countries. Now this Pax Silica is a counter to the China's technology strategy. Basically, this Pax Silica is widely seen as a strategic counter to a China's technology. How? Because it also, because as I mentioned in the previous points that, as I mentioned in the previous points that it reduced the dependency. So, this Pax Silica is widely seen in the strategic counter to the China's technology. Okay. It also aims to reduce a reliance on Chinese-centric semiconductors and critically mineral supply chains. Okay. And it is also limited to the geopolitical leverages. So, generally, China's control over these rare earth minerals and their chips, manufacturing, technologies, everything, it will be a limit to all of these, and it reflects a shift towards a friendly shoring and trusted partnership in the global technology. Okay. So, what are all the membership of this? Who are all the membership and expansion of this? So, initially India was a part of this? No. So, India was not part of this Pax Silica. Initial members are Quad, I2U2 countries. I'll explain about the Quad and I2U2 in the upcoming slides. So, let me tell you who are all that. USA, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Netherlands, UK, Israel, UAE and Australia. So, this group also expanded with Qatar and UAE also joining for their broader cooperation with the Middle Eastern nations also. Alright. So, India is expected to be invited next month for their growth in the role of technology and the semiconductor ecosystem. So, what is relevance to this in India, which is India's potential inclusive could be strengthening. So, our bilateral cooperation will be strengthened with the US in the areas of the semiconductors, AI, critical minerals and everything. Okay. So, our participation will be high with the Pax Silica, which is India's technology and supply chain integration with the advanced economics and aligned with the Make in India and AI ecosystem. As I said, what is I2U2 and Quad? So, let me explain about Quad first. Okay, that is Quadrilateral Security Dialogue. So, this informal strategic group of India, USA, Japan and Australia, which is aiming to ensure the free, open and rules-based Indo-Pacific. Okay. What is the focus of this Quad? That is to maritime security, supply chain, resilience and critical and emerging technologies and stability. Okay. So, the functions of this Quad is their summits, their meetings and their working in the groups without a formal treaty structure. Okay. And now, I2U2. That is, everybody knows, I think, India, Israel, UAE and USA. That is a minilateral economic and technology group. So, it is concentrated on the technology, infrastructure, food security, energy and innovation growth. Okay. So, it also represents a shift from security-centric alliance to geo-economic and technology focused. Okay. Let's move to the one of the important article from the today's newspaper. Let me tell you, there are 2 people has been infected by Nipah virus. Okay, in West Bengal, it is in Parganas district. Okay. Let me explain about what is Nipah. So, let me tell you Nipah virus. Okay. It is a highly fatal zoonotic virus and it belongs to Nipah virus genus and the Paramaxiviridae family, and it is first identified in the Malaysia, which is one of the district name is also called in Malaysia, which is Nipah, okay, which is transferred, and it is also listed in the priority list of WHO and because of the high mortality and the pandemic. Okay, so how it has been transmission? Okay, let's get it. It's a first reservoirs, fruit bat, okay, are the natural reservoir. So how it has been transmission? It is transmitted through, first is direct contact with the infected bats or pigs also. So everybody thinks that only bats, no, it is also infected through pigs. Next, even contaminated food is also one of the major cause of this disease, which is in the news articles, today's news articles also written about this raw date palm sap. Okay, and the third one is, it is human to human also transmission, especially in the healthcare settings. Okay, so there are multiple transmission pathways. Okay, let's see what are all the features of this disease. First is, this is asymptomatic infection to fetal encephalitics. Okay, so what are all the key symptoms? Symptoms of this is, as we all know, fever, headache, myalgia, acute respiratory distress, and neurology manifestation leads to coma, and our fatality rate is 40 to more than 80% or 75, we can say, that is also. Okay, and it is diagnosed it has been diagnosed using RT-PCR and ELISA. You can find this virus, and we all have this doubt that Nipah has a vaccine. It has no vaccine, which is no licensed vaccine or specific antiviral treatment. Okay, so the treatment limited to supportive and symptomatic care. Next one, in the news articles, it is also relevant about, it has also given one important point about One Health approach. So what is this One Health approach? Generally UPSC also focuses on all these terms, which is One Health integrates this human health, animal health and environmental health, which is to manage this zoonotic diseases like Nipah and all. Okay, it emphasizes this intersectoral coordination between these health, veterinary and wildlife sanctuaries and wildlife authorities. And in India, it supports early surveillance, okay, spillover prevention and outbreak preparedness aligned with the national health policy and WHO recommendation also. Okay. So in the news articles, it is also mentioned about this NCDC, which is a nodal agency. Okay, this NCDC functions under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, it is the apex body for prevention and control for communicable diseases. Okay, it established in 1963 and later renamed as the NCDC in 2009, and it is also emerging in to mandate this emerging and re-emerging diseases. Okay, so what are all the role of these? So what are all the role of these NCDCs? It plays a central role in the integrated diseases and surveillance program. Okay, it also detect early detection and before it outbreaks, so investigating about that and their response. So what is the technical and laboratory support? So it provides reference laboratory service, okay, and epidemiological expertise and capacity building for states, and working closely with ICMR, WHO and state health departments also. So this One Health and pandemic preparedness, that is NCDC, support this One Health also, okay, by addressing all these kind of diseases, and it also strengthened the biosurveillance and national health security. Let's get into the next article. Yeah. Clue against a law to provide immunity to CEC and ECs. Okay. So this, what is this news? So the Supreme Court has issued a notice on PIL challenging Section 16, okay, which is very important. I'll explain about this section 16 in the upcoming slides. So, section 16 of the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners, their appointments and conditions in terms of Office Act 2023, which grants a blanket immunity to this CEC and EC, that is Chief Election Commissioner and election commissioners, for action taking while discharging official duties. So, however, the court has refused to stay the provisions. Okay. So, let's see what is this section 16, okay, which is very important. So, what they are going to say about this section 16 is, the section 16, it is notwithstanding anything contained in the any other law for the time being in force, no court shall entertain or continue any civil or criminal proceedings, okay, which is against any person who is or was a chief election commissioner, okay. So, or an election commissioner's any act, things, word committed, done or spoken by him. So, when or in the course of acting or purporting to act in the discharge of his official duty or a function. So, the chief, that is CEC and ECs. So, when they are, that is or was being in, so CEC and EC cannot take any civil or criminal proceeding during their time being in their force. So, cannot take any action among them, okay. Now, constitutional issues. What are all the constitutional issues here we have in the section 16? First is, let's talk about the dependency and accountability. That is, Chief Election Commission must be independent according to the article number 234, but it does not mean absolute immunity, okay. So, even constitutional, according to the article number 361, even president and governor has limited immunity, okay, and judges also subjected to impeachment and judicial scrutiny. So, giving a wide and a grand immune system to ECs, raising a question on a constitutional hierarchy. So, let's talk about the important act, okay, that is Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners and appointment conditions of services and terms of office Act 2023. So, the act replaced the Election Commission, Conditions of Service of Election Commissioners and Transactions of Business Act 1991, which is replaced by this act to regulate the appointment, tenure, service conditions of CEC and ECs and the Election Commission's procedures, okay. So, under the previous acts, the appointment of the CEC and other E's was made by the President on the recommendation of PM plus COM, okay. So, what are all the key provision of this act? So, the most important is the selection committee. That means the CEC and EC will be appointed by the President based on the recommendations of the selection committee, which is consist of Prime Minister, okay, Leader of Opposition, all right, and the Union Cabinet Minister. Okay, which is nominated by the Prime Minister. And what is the eligible criteria of the CEC and EC? Which they must have held a secretary level post in the Government of India. Okay. Now, the CEC and EC receives a Supreme Court judge's salary and serves for 6 years or until age of 65. Okay, and CEC and ECs cannot be reappointed if an EC become CEC, their total tenure cannot exceed 6 years. Okay, so the CEC and EC receive a government pension, okay, excluding disability pension, and will have their salary reduced by the amount of personal pension received. Okay, so what are all the removal and resignation of these CEC and ECs? So CEC can be removed only in the same manner and on the same grounds as a Supreme Court judge, while EC can be removed on the CEC's recommendation, but both can give both can resign to the president. Okay, let's get into the next article. Okay, the heavy lure of Venezuela's crude for the US. Okay, so everybody should have read about this US and Venezuela's oil issues which is currently going on. So we should know that why US is very much interested in Venezuela's oil. Okay, let's see what is in the news. So the US seeks Venezuela's crude oil. Why? So US oil abundance and the refining paradox, we can say United States is the world's largest oil producer and also a major exporter, okay, of a crude oil. Despite this, US has shown a clear interest in the Venezuela's crude because the interest goes beyond the energy market dominance and oil price management. So the reason is because the specific nature of the Venezuela's oil, which is heavy and sour. Let's understand what is this heavy and sour. Okay, so what is the difference of this heavy and sour and sweet and crude? Let's see the differences of this. So most Venezuela's oils is classified as a heavy and sour crude. Okay, it is dense, it is viscous and high in sulfur. Okay, most of the US oil production, especially it is a shale oil actually, which is light sweet crude oil. So because it is a low viscosity and low sulfur content. So crude oil is not fungible in practice. Fungible means interchanged of any goods or items. Okay, so this refineries are designed for the specific grades of the crudes in the US. So US refineries infrastructure and their crude mismatch. Let's see, many US refineries, especially in the Gulf Coast, were built a long time ago, that is a decade ago, to process this heavy sour crude from Latin America and Canada. Okay, so these refineries, that is, they have a highly capital intensive, okay, they are not economically reconfigurable. Okay, the shale oil, which even started before that, shale oil revolution, which leads to a large scale production of a light sweet oil in the US. Okay, so this oil could not be processed by existing refineries. So that the US exports its light oil but import its heavy oil, as Venezuela has the heavy oil, okay, to keep their refineries running efficiently. Now, what is the economic logic of this heavy crude oil imports? Because heavy crude oil is cheaper, first of all, which is very important, then light sweet oil, light sweet crude oil. So it is economically suitable for the complex refineries, okay, and using expensive light crude oil in these facilities would be undermining cost efficiency, okay, and it is also reduce this refining margins, okay, which is also very important. And how this Venezuela's oil wealth and production has been declined, because Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves in the world, okay. It also reserves the estimates of 300 billion barrels, okay. Despite this, The production is only about 1 million barrels per day. Okay. So this is a far below potential due to there are a lot of issues because of the nationalism, their corruption, their mismanagement, their infrastructure delayed. There are a lot of reasons. There is no strong government. Okay. Now, what are all the challenges which is reviving Venezuela's oil output? Okay. Reviving this production will require first significant time. Okay. We have a lot of good amount of time and a large investment. Okay. And most reserves and extra heavy and technical difficulty to extract this. So despite US has interest in Venezuela's oils, because of the American oil companies are not rushing in. Okay, and there are a number of reasons behind it because of their political uncertainty and their sanctions and their high cost of rebuilding infrastructure. And the last, I think the US Venezuela's oil relations and their geopolitics. Okay, we'll discuss about this. So Venezuela was once a major oil suppliers to the US. Okay, once was a major oil suppliers, but nationalism under Hugo Chavez 2007 forced US oil majors out. Okay, and it also sanctioned further restrictions Venezuela's exports, and Venezuela moved to close to China and Russia. So renew US access to Venezuela heavy crude remains strategically attractive due to their refinery requirements and strained relations with other heavy crude producers like Iran and Russia. So this is the important articles of the today's DNA. All right. So I would like to end this session with a beautiful line, that is, every difficulty is an opportunity. So everybody thinks that life is so difficult, this preparation is very difficult, this this journey is humongous, it's a long journey, how do I don't know how to complete all these things. But generally, you know, every difficulty is an opportunity. So there is an important thing to learn from this difficultiness is, once you will get into understand all these struggles in your life, the preparation, the struggles, the whatever the problems you're going through, it will be very easy and mold yourself. It will be mold yourself as well. It will be very easy for your upcoming days in your life. So never lose on a hope from the life. All the best.